Somewhere in the heart of Death Valley, there's a place where the sand swallows sound, and if you listen hard, you can hear voices whispering from beneath your feet, begging you not to uncover what should remain buried. Nightbound Bloodline presents The Hidden City of the American Death Valley. This is the confession of a man whose relentless curiosity nearly cost him his life and his mind in one of the harshest, most haunted corners of America. He asks us to call him Thomas Avery. He went to Death Valley in search of lost gold and came back with memories he wishes he could forget. An underground labyrinth, an ancient city untouched by time, and a presence that watches from the cracks in the stone. What you're about to hear is as much a warning as a story. Respect the ground you walk on, or risk waking what slumbers beneath. My name's Thomas Avery, 52 years old. I'm a freelance geologist, occasional treasure hunter, more comfortable with maps and minerals than with people. I never believed in curses or legends. Out here, the desert is danger enough. I've spent most of my adult life combing the sun-baked dirt for history. Old prospectors' trails, sunken mine shafts, native petroglyphs fading on black basalt. Every story of secret vaults and underground kingdoms is just that, a story. That's what I told myself before last spring, when I saw the ground open and heard the city beneath the sand breathing. I'm not the kind of guy to jump at shadows. Ghost lights, mystery booms, desert mirages. You see plenty out here, most with an explanation. But what happened in those tunnels? It wasn't a trick of dehydration or sunstroke. I left sane and skeptical. Now, I wonder how much of me Death Valley actually let go. April. Even at dawn, the heat makes you sweat right through your shirt. I'd just gotten a tip from a prospector about a collapsed cavern near Furnace Creek, a place he claimed the old-timers called City of the Dead. Of course I thought it was just miners' tales, but he handed over a map, yellowed and torn, with a hand-drawn X nearly a day's hike from the nearest road. All it said was, "Entry forbidden, voices below ground." Footsteps crunching salt and gravel. I set off at first light. Backpack loaded, water heavy, full tank of skepticism. The desert was alive with heat shimmer. The wind carried dust and the slight, metallic tang of old ore. I passed weathered stones that looked carved, ruined foundations barely taller than my knee, and, maybe I imagined it, something like a low humming if I stood still long enough. By noon, I was far from the world, swallowed by the horizon. That's when I saw it. A depression in the ground rimmed by scorched rock, the sand swept away as if by hands bigger than a man's. There, barely visible, a jagged hole, black as pitch, breathing cool air up from below. I admit, my nerves started to twitch. The opening was no ordinary cave mouth. It looked cut, angled, as if someone, or something, had shaped it on purpose a long, long time ago. A dry, sour wind seeped out, carrying a scent I can only describe as old paper and burnt hair. The air pulsed, like something far beneath was shifting rocks in its sleep. I should have turned around. Every logical bone in my body told me nothing good waited down there. But curiosity, it's a sickness for people like me. Against my better judgment, I slipped on my headlamp, anchored my rope, and started down. Immediately, the temperature dropped. I lost the sky in 3 steps. The world above reduced to a coin-sized circle of light. My boots scraped stone, echoing in a place too big for comfort, too quiet to be natural. The tunnel was wrong. The walls weren't rough, not natural like any lava tube or mine shaft I'd ever mapped. They were smooth, almost polished, covered in patterns I didn't recognize, spirals, eyes, and what looked disturbingly like faces, grinning and frowning in the beam of my light. A soft sound drifted up from below, distant, like water running or voices chanting under their breath. The further I went, the more my skin prickled. The feeling of being watched wasn't just a passing thought. It was a weight, pressing from every side. Halfway down, the rope jerked slightly. Too late, I realized the stone dust had changed to black soot, and every step sunk into powder that seemed to swallow sound. Then the whispers grew louder, weaving between words in a language I couldn't place but nearly recognized. My heart pounded. My mouth was dry as the sand outside. I reached the bottom, a vast chamber, dome-shaped, ringed in what looked like columns of bone-white limestone. At the center, half buried, an ancient structure, an open gate descending yet further beyond what my lamp could pierce. On the floor, more signs, symbols drawn in soot, shapes that spun and writhed in my vision. That's when I saw them, shadows moving against the wall, not cast by any light, but sprung from the darkness itself. Human shapes, tall and thin, with arms that seemed too long, faces too smooth. They flickered, multiplying and colliding, moving in silent procession toward the gate. None acknowledged me, yet I felt their attention, pulsing like static across my skin. A low hum started in my chest, like a heartbeat not my own. It synced with the movement of those shadowy figures, a dance or ritual older than language. I stared, transfixed, feeling the boundary between me and the stone blur. Then one figure broke away from the others. It turned, no face, only a blank oval of darkness, and glided toward me, lifting a hand as if to welcome me deeper in. My legs refused to move. My body shook with cold, sweat running down my spine, heart slamming into panic. I knew then this was no city of gold. This was a tomb, and the dead were not alone. The shadow figure reached for me. Its hand, mottled by shifting black, hovered inches from my chest. I felt pressure, not touch, and a chill so complete it felt like the desert in winter, sucking warmth straight from my bones. My mind raced for logic, for escape, but the chamber pulsed with a force beyond imagining. Behind the figure, the gate opened into blackness deeper than any cave, rimmed with more of those spiraling symbols. The other figures halted their procession, all faces aimed at me, silent accusation and invitation shivering down my spine. A sound rose from below, rhythmic, ancient, like drums played by 1,000 invisible hands. The chanting grew louder, winding through the air until it matched the beat of my own panicked heart. I tried to back up. My boots scraped cymbals, and for a moment, the whispering voices screamed, not words, but a memory, raw and overwhelming. The truth hit. I wasn't supposed to be here. This city wasn't hidden, it was sealed. Terror gave my limbs something like strength. I staggered to my rope, hands fumbling, every sense alive with the feeling that if I stayed another second, I'd never see the sun again. As I looked back, the shadows advanced. The closest figure's face split, not in anger or malice, but in a shape that almost resembled sorrow, a warning. The humming shifted, urgent, like a heartbeat demanding escape. I hauled myself up the rope, every muscle screaming, every breath echoing with the promise of being followed. As I neared the surface, the cold wind rushed to meet me, desperate whispers chasing at my heels. Bursting out of the hole, I collapsed in the blinding sun, whole body racked with dry sobs, shirt drenched in sweat and grit. The whispers faded, leaving only the wind and the distant call of a raven. I ran, left my rope, my tools, the map, all of it swallowed by sand and fear. Every mile from that place felt heavier, as if invisible hands tried to haul me back underground. My dreams for weeks were filled with spirals, black gates, and voices in a forgotten tongue. Now, every time I see desert stone, I listen for that hum beneath the earth. I know some places are meant to remain unopened. The maps don't show the hidden city, but the desert remembers. Thomas Avery escaped, but not unchanged. The hidden city of Death Valley remains, its secrets and shadows well below the reach of sunlight, waiting in silence for the next step, the next trespass. Sometimes, it's not gold or treasure concealed beneath the sand. It's a memory, a warning, a story the land never stopped telling. History is written with stones, bones, and disappearances. The desert is older than any map, and what slumbers below is older still. Encounters like Thomas's force us to reckon with the truth that not all ruins are abandoned. Some watch, some wait. If you feel drawn to dig deep, remember, you may not be the only one searching. If this kept you at the edge of your seat, like and subscribe for more. Sleep with one eye open.